çık 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 çık. Vıp vıp.
Need help? Go with honor, friend.
Pleased to meet you. Be seeing you.
Forsikringen til Sparebanken. Mye oppi den nå.
Du har bare sett et annonsnavn nå, da.
Hæ? Det er mye av den på nå.
Hvis du skal se, hvis du betaler 2.940 kroner, trekker den på, så trekker den i annonsnavn.
Ja, men det er ikke alt betalt ennå, da? Ja.
Jo. Hovedstolen er på 2.460.
Ja, man må betale da. De skal behandle dette.
day, if a kid fell off the monkey bars and chipped a bone in his arm, that was tragic, but it was funny to the rest of us. Certainly wasn't reasons to take the monkey bars off the playgrounds. We all did dumb things. That's how you learn not to do dumb things. C.S. Lewis said suffering was God's megaphone. That's right. You do dumb things, it hurts, and then you learn not to do it. But we're the most painted versus... I'll give you an example. When I was 12, someone told me get a ball jar, canning jar. Find some dry ice, put it in the jar, put the lid on it. So I said, what's going to happen? They said, it's going to blow up. And I said, cool. Where do I get dry ice at? And they said, the ice cream man. So one day I heard the ice cream man coming down my street. I run out with one of my mother's canning jars, and I asked, you got any dry ice? He said, what you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to put it in this jar, I'm going to put the lid on it, and it's going to explode. Ice cream man says, oh, here's your dry ice. That's the America I grew up in. Yes. And of course, that night, my mother was at our kitchen table picking shards of glass out of my forehead. The monkey, here's your high school diploma. You get to ride home like a big boy today. I mean, come on. I had the pleasure of growing up in America before the lawyers took it over and ruined it on us. And yeah. In my day, if a kid fell off the monkey bars and chipped a bone in his arm, that was tragic, but it was funny to the rest of us. Certainly wasn't reasons to take the monkey bars off the playgrounds. We all did dumb things. That's how you learn not to do dumb things. C.S. Lewis said suffering was God's megaphone. That's right. You do dumb things, it hurts, and then you learn not to do it. But we're the most painted versus... I'll give you an example. When I was 12, someone told me get a ball jar, canning jar. Find some dry ice, put it in the jar, put the lid on it. So I said, what's going to happen? They said, it's going to blow up. And I said, cool. Where do I get dry ice at? And they said, the ice cream man. So one day I heard the ice cream man coming down my street. I run out with one of my mother's canning jars, and I asked, you got any dry ice? He said, what you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to put it in this jar, I'm going to put the lid on it, and it's going to explode. Ice cream man says, oh, here's your dry ice. That's the America I grew up in. Yes. And of course, that night, my mother was at our kitchen table picking shards of glass out of my forehead. And my father came walking in. How'd that happen? Someone told me you put dry ice in a ball jar, it'll blow up. So knowing that, you were just staring at that jar, waiting for it to blow right up in your face. Yep. What am I raising, a moron? Could see why you'd think that. I never did it again, because that'd have been really dumb. That's how you learn. My nephew's coming by. This poor kid's 11 years old. I look at him. Where's he going? My sister said rollerblading. I thought he was going to disarm a nuclear device. Poor kid looked like the Michelin Man. Foam, rubber, plastic everywhere. She says, I don't want him to get hurt. I said, hurt? He could take a semi at 80 miles an hour and that off. Falling on concrete is supposed to hurt. See, that's your incentive to learn to stay upright on the rollerblades. They've ruined everything. Playgrounds. I took my granddaughter to a playground. What happened to playgrounds? The slide is 5 feet high, made out of plastic. She would go 4 inches and stop, 4 inches and stop, 4 inches and stop. That's not a slide, it's a scoot. Wee papa, wee papa, wee papa, wee papa. What did we have? We had a 6-story high solid steel structure. About mid-July, yeah. Mid-July would hit a temperature of about 285 degrees. You lose 2 layers of skin on the way down. Another layer when you hit the ground like a flat rock on a pond. Come back picking gravel out of your thighs. Yeah! Now it's wee papa, wee papa, wee papa. I wanted to shove her down the slide. I did. I wanted to shove her so she'd know what an exhilarating feeling of sliding. And I felt 6 iPhones on my back. Go ahead, old man. We dare you.
Ja, det er vel det vet jeg ikke, tror jeg kontroll på sånne ting. Men jeg skriver jo mailer og allting og sender til folk som trenger den tilnærmelsen, da. Så jeg kan sende en mail til deg hvis du får til det. Trenger det. Okay. Ja, men jeg gir fullmakt til noe i hvert fall. Så, ja.
Welcome. Keep your feet on the ground.
It's nuts. Car seats, I'm not against car seats. I'm just telling you, I'm tired of strapping my granddaughter in like a NASCAR driver to drive 2 miles to get a Diet Coke from the mini mart. She's 54 pounds. I'm gonna get a hernia hauling her in and out of the state. What age can you take them out now? 5, 7, 18? Here's your high school diploma. You get to ride home like a big boy today. I mean, come on. Car seat, we didn't even have seat belts. I walked the back seat of my mother's car for 4 years. She'd be driving, I'd just be walking the back seat side to side. Sure, every now and then she'd hit the brakes, I'd fly up into the front. She'd toss me back like a trout. What are you doing up here? Get back there. I got pulled over by the police. I'm not making this up. I got pulled over by the police because it was sunny day and my granddaughter was in the back seat with sunshine through the window, and the policeman said, I'm not going to write you up this time, but you need to have a sunshade to protect her from the sun. I go, what? Are you kidding? I almost got arrested. I said, you're kidding me. This is a joke, right? When did the sunshine become this evil thing? We didn't have sunscreen. You know what sunscreen was when I was a kid? Dirt. That's what it was. Dirt. And why? Because we would eat dirt, and it would get all over our face and protect us from the sun. And then we'd wash it down with water from a garden hose. And then I'd take a bath, put on my asbestos pajamas, and go to bed. And look how I turned out. About 8 or 9 years ago, my wife and I picked up my oldest boy at the Fort Campbell. He did 6 years. He served 6 years with the 101st Airborne, and thank you. So we pick him up, and we're driving back. We live in Nashville. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive, so we're driving back, and I asked my son, now that you're out of the military, you've had 6 years to think about it. What are your plans? Anywhere. And he said, well, I was kind of hoping I could move back home while I reacclimate to civilian life. I said, so you haven't thought about it, have you? He said, no. I said, all right, well, you've earned it. Take all the time you need. 19 months into the acclimating process, my wife grabs me in the hall one afternoon. How long does it take to acclimate? I said, I don't know. I never had to. Go downstairs and talk to that boy. So I went downstairs, I politely asked my 26-year-old son, pause your video game, I need your full attention on this one. Mom and I were a little curious, did the Army teach you a skill, something you can use to get employment and move out? I want you to understand something, young man. Your mother and I want grandchildren. We've earned grandchildren, and we worship a God of miracles. We believe out of 3 billion women on this planet, God has chosen one of those women for you to breed with. We just don't think she's gonna fall through our vent and land in your lap down here in the basement. So did you learn anything? He thought about it. He said, you know, I can kill you 6 ways with a popsicle stick. All right. You enjoy that video game, my man, and let Mom and I know when you're done doing that acclimating thing. So I run upstairs, and Tammy says to me, what'd he say? He said get rid of the fudgesicles because he's going on a diet. That's what he said. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if the Army fed him for 6 years. He was literally eating us out of house. And my wife and I started hiding food in our bedroom to keep it from our son. I'm not lying. That's pathetic. It really is. We had a stash of brownies and muffins in the nightstand next to our bed. So late at night, we get all excited, run down the hall, lock the bedroom door. I'm sure he thought we were doing something else, but we were just under the covers eating brownies and laughing at him. Yeah. Really, you hit 50, your life gets pathetic. It really does. The brownies are here. Woo! We'd run down the hall, lock the door. Hurry, he's gonna smell these and want one. I know it, they're ours, they're not his. And the truth be known, that's all we do in our bed anymore anyway, is eat. Really, we bought a Select Comfort bed. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but each side of the bed has its own number. The higher the number, the harder the mattress. My side of the bed, 100. Marble slab, that's it. Tammy's number's 2. First night she laid on her side of the bed, she literally disappeared from my view. Mattress wrapped around her like a flour tortilla. Poor thing was sleeping in a fajita on her side of the bed. So I roll over to kiss her goodnight. I fall into a ditch. I can't get out. I'm like, man, she's going, get off of me. What are you doing over here? Get off of me. By the way, if you're a newlywed, that's the sound of 32 years of love right there. Yeah. Yes. You're on my hair. You haven't shaved. Your breath smells. Stop touching me. Ah. Don't get me wrong. We still try to get romantic. We just save it for special holidays now. Turns out Tammy's favorite is leap year. Yeah. I didn't even know that was a holiday. I really didn't. I'll dim the lights and put on some Sade, and Tammy says, wow, has it been 4 years already? All right, I'll get the good flannel and the hunting socks on tonight. Nah, we're married, we try. We just know how much time and energy it actually takes, and we prefer to watch Law and Order. That's just the way it's worked out. My wife falls asleep at 9:15 every night. You could set a watch by her body. At 9:10, you look at her on the couch in our living room, it's like a gas leak goes off. Sweetheart, maybe you should go to bed. No, I'm fine, I'm fine. What are you, a 5-year-old? Quit fighting it, just go to bed. Will you be quiet? This is my favorite show. Poor woman's seen the beginning of every Law and Order for 5 seasons. And now they come out in rerun and she's yelling at me. I've seen this one. Well, give it 20 minutes. People ask, too. They ask me, is your wife aware of the way you talk about her? No, so don't be Facebooking her. This is her idea of funny. God bless me with an amazing woman. She's got a dark, twisted sense of humor. I mean it. This is her idea of funny. I'm in my chair at home. Every man, you have a chair, don't you, sir? Darn right you have a chair. You're a man. That's your throne. If you ever went missing, they give a cushion in that chair to a bloodhound, wouldn't they? Find that smell! And then they'd revive the dog and send him on his way. So I'm in my chair one afternoon, minding my own business. Now, my wife comes up behind me. She starts rubbing me like that. She's got her arms around me like that. She's nibbling on my ear. And, of course, I'm thinking, is it February 29th? It was a nice moment between a man and wife. We were married 20-plus years at that point, and it was a nice moment. In like a few minutes, just really nice and tender. And then at one point, she kisses the top of my head, and she hugged me. She said, I love you, Jeffrey. I said, I love you too, baby. And she walked away. And I'm basking in the warmth of this. I mean, 10, 15, I mean, at times I would yell. She was in the kitchen. Baby, that was nice. Thank you. And at one point, my son comes walking through. Hey, Dad, who drew that big smiley face on your bald spot? Yeah! What I thought was fingernails was a Sharpie. She was back there scratching artwork on my dome. So don't you feel sorry for her. She's sick and she's twisted. We've been married 32 years, and my father gave me one really wise piece of advice before I got married, and it's held true for 32 years. On my wedding day, my father said to me, before you argue with your new wife, and you're going to argue with her, before you do, take some time, step back, ask yourself 2 questions. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Right. And then he broke down and sobbed right in front of me. I had no idea what that man was talking about. 32 years later, I can tell you this, I'm a happy, happy, happy man. I ain't been right in 12 years now. Sometimes I even have to ask her, am I happy? Oh, you better believe you're happy. Okay. I was just checking with you, Buttercup. I gotta call my friends up. I can't go golfing, but I'm a happy, happy, happy man. And don't get me wrong, we argue. You've got to argue in your marriage. You don't argue in your marriage, it'll build up in your brain over time and fries your brain. Yeah, and then you wind up like those babbling, mumbling couples you've seen in Arizona, Florida. These 50-plus years of marriage, they're kind of walking down the street. The wife is fine. It's the poor husband 8 feet behind her that scares me to death. This poor man's all hunched over, he's vibrating, mumbling. Always telling me what to do. Telling you what to do. I'm a man, you can't tell. I'm a man. This poor guy's starting to try to win back all the arguments he's been throwing away for 50 years. You know, he was 6'3" when he got married. Now he's 4'1". Look at the poor man. Weighed down by half a century of apathy. Leave a toilet seat up if I want to leave a toilet seat up. Tell me what to do. I hope you sit in the water every night. I don't care. And that's when she turns around. What'd you just say to me? I didn't say nothing to you. Scary. You have to learn how to communicate. That's the word. Communication. You have to learn how your spouse communicates. That takes time. Men and women communicate differently. It took me 2 years of marriage to figure out my wife will never tell me to do anything around our home. If Tammy wants me to do something, she'll ask me a question. It's from the question that I got to stand there and figure out what it is she wants me to do. Simple example, say I leave a pair of my underwear in the middle of the bedroom floor, which frosts my wife. That's her word when she's angry. That just frosts me, Jeffrey. If I'm not frosting her, I'm driving her up a wall. That's another one. Kids would come in. Where's Mom? She's up the wall with frostbite. That's all I know. You won't believe what put her there, man. It was that pair of underwear in the middle of the bedroom floor. You're looking at the most powerful piece of cotton on planet Earth. So I leave my underwear in the middle of the room. Would she come to me and say to me, pick those up? That's 3 words. Hey, pick those up. 3 words! Would she say them? No, because that would be simple, direct, and right to the point. And at that moment, we would be communicating at the highest human level. The way God, the Creator, intended it, through language. She looks at me, looks at my underwear, and then asks, are those yours? I sure hope they are, otherwise I got a few questions of my own. What do you want? That's the only question a man has for his wife. What do you want? Quit talking in code and tell me what you want. My favorite question, we weren't married 2 months. I'm leaving the house. I got golf clubs on my shoulder, got golf shoes in my hand, and everybody knows what she asked me. Where are you going? I was only married a couple months. I didn't know any better. I looked at, I'm going bowling, Columbo. What do you mean? If you're taking notes, that would be the wrong answer.
Tusenvis har gått for bærekraftsmålene. Lyst opp veien for en fremtid der vi skal utrydde ekstrem fattigdom, stoppe urettferdighet og bremse klimaendringene. Alt er mulig når vi går sammen.
An hour later, I was still in my living room. Come on, tell me, what is this about? Please, let me know, please. I can make the back nine, just let me know. It's about knowing the right answer. That's why your beautiful, intelligent wife would ask such a banal question. I know better today. If I'm leaving the house with golf balls on my shoulder today and Tammy says, where you going? We'll put these in the car, baby. I'm going to come back and mow our lawn. That's what I'm doing. Just practicing leaving for golf. You gotta know your love language. I read a book. Some guy wrote a book, Dr. Gary Chapman wrote a book called 5 Love Languages. According to Dr. Gary Chapman, Chapman, there are 5 languages of love between a man and wife. Tammy and I read that book twice in 1 week because we didn't see our love language in there. Yeah, apparently bitterness, sarcasm, not part of Dr. Gary Chapman's love life. That's all I noticed. My parents had their own love language. 57 years they were married before my mother passed away. That last Christmas we knew would be Mom's last Christmas, so it was a special one. We knew this would be it. So anyway, we were all sitting around watching television, the movies, Wonderful Life, those Christmas movies. My mom's doing her crochet, my dad's in his chair, and he starts serenading my mother in their love language. 57 years of marriage. My mother didn't miss a beat. She didn't even say anything. She puts her crochet down, she goes into the kitchen, comes back 20 minutes later with 2 hot dogs and a soda pop for her husband. How cool is that? So that night I'm laying in the fajita with Tammy. And I'm talking, I said, did you see that today? She goes, what? My parents, did you see that whole thing? She goes, I did. And I go, you think we'll ever get there, you and me, on that level? Tammy says, shoot me if we do. You start hocking hairballs at me like that, it's over. That was one of the most vile, disgusting things I've ever witnessed in my life. I almost chucked my dinner all over the kid's head. Wow, I thought it was beautiful. I married a tough one. Tammy's a tough, tough woman. First thing she did when we got married was take my spine away from me. She did. She keeps it in her purse. It's handy in case I have to do something manly. 3 o'clock in the morning. I heard a noise. Here's your spine. Go down and see what it was. I hate that wake-up call. She hears a noise. I gotta go down and see what it is. Well, if you were sleeping, you wouldn't have heard it. So go back to sleep, you won't hear the next one. Trust me, he's trying to be as quiet as he can. He'll probably apologize for waking us up. She should go down there. If he tracked mud on her new hardwood floor, she'd rip his thyroid out. She's got a temper. Give me a temper. I'm not talking irritability and sarcasm. That's what attracted me to her. Here's an example. We were eating breakfast one morning, just sitting at the breakfast, minding my own business, whistling. That's the kind of good mood I was in, whistling. Could explain why I didn't hear her ticking on the other side of the table. I just wanted to butter a waffle. You know what I'm talking about, man? You just want to butter a waffle. No family business, no talk, no nothing. Butter a waffle. So I said, sweetheart, could you pass me the butter knife? Of course, now I'm thinking, something must be bothering Buttercup. So I ask, something on your mind? She says, I'm fat. There's not a man in this room knows you can't respond to that. There's a twitch of the eye will get you killed at this point. If you're a newlywed, trust me, your wife ever says she's fat, you become mannequin man. You don't move a muscle. You certainly don't say anything. Just let her finish her thought, take the knife out of the wall, butter the waffle. Then she says we're joining a health club. Did you hear what I said? I think I heard you say you're fat and we're joining a health club. That was the wrong answer. Spoon. Of course we joined a health club. And if there are 2 people on this planet that should have never purchased a health club membership, it is Tammy and I. Trust me, I haven't moved with any purpose since I won the race at conception. Trust me. Yeah. I don't want to brag, but I outran about 4 billion that morning, and I'm still exhausted. We're lazy people. We're not ashamed of it. We've actually woken our children up to get the remote control for the television. We've had an exercise bike in our bedroom for 10 years. It's got about 1.5 miles on it. Most of that was put on by the grandkids sitting on the floor just spinning the pedals. She once called me from the driveway to get her purse. Hello, get my purse. Where you at? I'm in the driveway. I'm going to the health club and I need my ID. How lazy are you? Hey, go get your mother's purse and bring it to her, will you? We've tried, you know, I've tried things. When I was in my 20s, I tried skiing. When I was actually, I got knocked unconscious by the chairlift. I mean, yeah, it's funny now, but if that wasn't humiliating enough, the insurance company that I had at the time wouldn't cover my head injury. I'm not making it up. Guy called me up at home and said, you got hit in the head with a chairlift. I said, yes, sir. He goes, wow, that makes you a moron. And we consider that a pre-existing condition. They had me. It was a loophole. I wanted to get in shape. I have grandchildren now. They're running me ragged. By the way, if you're a young parent, everything I was told about grandchildren is true. It is. They are your reward for letting your teenagers live. That's... Fight the urge, let those ingrates live, and you'll bring you a bundle of joy. They will, but just give them time. But you've never been sicker in your life till you spent time around little children. You know that. They go to preschool. Why the CDC hasn't shut down every preschool in America? I'm not kidding. They're little germ magnet, agar jars, or petri. If you went to an American preschool, shut off all the lights, turn on a black light, it would look like the surface of the sun in that place. And they're 5 years old. They don't know any better. They give stuff to each other. Give this one here, Pop-Pop. And she'll wait till I'm sleeping on the couch and she just stares at me while I'm laying there. And you know, because of gravity, everything in her little mouth is splashing on my face. It's like sleeping under a toxic rain pipe. Vanilla wafers and Kool-Aid. Get this paste falling on your face. And as soon as I open an eyeball, she goes, oh, is that Ebola? I haven't had that one yet. And the worst is when they take a drink out of your water. They hand you the glass, you got a 6-course meal floater on the top of it. You know, Papa, I'll get a new water. Water shouldn't have 40 grams of fiber in it, that's all I know. And they live nearby, which is really, really cool. We see them a lot. And my son brought her over one day. He thought it'd be funny to teach my 5-year-old granddaughter to give me a wet willy. Yeah, it's funny now. But, so I got her on my lap, and I'm bouncing around, and she's licking her finger. Hey, Papa. You know, and it's kind of amusing, you know. 30 seconds into it, she goes, Papa, I got pink eye. What? Squirting Perel in my eye. Oh, my God, I want to die. It was cool. She just turned 5. We had the birthday at our house, and it was really kind of cool. And my son dropped her off, and they had to go get her a gift, a bicycle or whatever it was. They didn't want it there. So they drop her off about an hour before the party starts, and she sees all the balloons and everything. She knows it's her birthday. She's 5, so she runs down. I'm on the couch. I'm reading a book. She's running down the hall. I'm the birthday girl! And she disappeared. I didn't see her, and then I heard her plow into a wall. And I only tell you this because people after the show will ask me, what sort of stuff makes you laugh? That would be one of them right there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm reading a book. She disappears. I hear, you know, that's funny. I'm sorry. That's funny. I tried to comfort her, but I couldn't stop laughing at her. I go, Evelyn, you were moving. I was moving, Papa. And when they cry at that age, they get that yo-yo. It gets about here. They... I don't know how they know. It's just like, you know, and you get transfixed on the yo-yo, and then the bubble shoots out. Whoa. Did that come out your little head? You got to get the parent book out, bubble out the head. That could be dangerous. And I don't know what to do with it. She's crying, she's running her nose, and Tammy comes walking by, what happened? And she says, I was moving, baby. And I said, she plowed in the wall, she's okay. I said, and she goes, what's the problem? I said, the stuff, the junk coming out of her nose. Tammy goes, oh, you're such a wimp. And Tammy grabs it. She just grabs it like that, this toxic waste. Now she's walking down the hall berating me. You're such a wimp, I'm sick and tired of it. And it was still connected to her nose. It was like, oh. And she says to me, Tammy says, I bought you handkerchiefs. Who uses handkerchiefs? I don't see the attraction of blowing your nose and then stuffing it right back in your pocket. If you want to hang on to this stuff, leave it in its natural environment. And my father had handkerchiefs, and this is probably what, in our family, as a young boy, if I was crying and my nose was running and my father was walking over with a ball of handkerchief, oh, I backed that snot up as fast as I could, man. I'm all right, Dad, look, nothing coming out, no, come here, boy, let me wipe that face. No, not the handkerchief, Dad, please, not the handkerchief. Then you hear him open it. Oh, no! Come here, boy. Oh my goodness, my eyebrows. I don't have any eyebrows. For an entire school year, my mother drew my eyebrows in every morning. For an entire semester, I was surprised every morning. You tell yourself as a parent, when you get older, it'll be better. That's what you tell yourself. Teenagers. I believe teenagers are God's revenge on mankind. I really do. I think one day the good Lord was looking down over his creation and said, let's see how they like it to create someone of their own image who denies their existence. Because I have read the Bible more than once, cover to cover, and it never mentions how old the devil was when he rejected God's authority. If I'm guessing an age, I'm saying 16. The devil got his driver's license, drove to Georgia, that's all I know. One heck of a fiddle player, buddy. You can't argue with a 16-year-old. You can't. They have a 3-word vocabulary. That's it. Is a word. You gonna pass your history test? Is another word. No, you can't spend the night at your friend's house. You flunked the history test. And then that word whatever drove me insane. It affected my nerves. Because when it would come out of their mouths, I'd immediately blink them right in the eyes. Whatever. Stop that. And get your little angels ready for therapy. They're going. This is America. Your kid's gonna lay on a couch at some point in his life and blame you for everything. You might as well give him reasons going in. Don't stress about it, they're gonna do it. I told my kids when they learn to write, when you perceive an injustice in our home, do us all a favor, write it down and date it, and I'll initial it for you. I'll come. Well, when you're middle-aged, my memory's not so good, we could breeze through the therapeutic process together. I'll just hand that book to the therapist. All that stuff with my initials next to it, I did, and I'll play the golf course. I don't get it. Where we're at as a nation, we got 40-year-old men calling up their 65-year-old fathers and yelling at them at 2 in the morning and blaming them for all the grief in their life. It may be true. He may have had a rotten father, but at this point in his life, what do you expect him to do for you? I got my answer ready. I'm waiting for one of my sons to call me up at 2 in the morning. You ruined my life. All I'm going to say is, whatever. What other answer is there? Do over? You know, well, we didn't mean to ruin your life. Hey, why don't you move back home? Me and Mom will re-raise you. Yep, we're a lot calmer since our strokes, don't you know? We can't remember when bedtime is. We can't remember anything. You can move home and help us find our shoes in the morning. That'll be fun. We can't find anything around here. Remote controls, car keys. It's like a scavenger hunt every day. You sure do sound like a nice young man. What was your name again? It's puberty. Something happens when a child hits puberty. My oldest son went through puberty at 11 years old. Not making it up. It took him a half an hour to get through it. That was it. But it was a terrible half hour. I'm on the road. I call home. He's 11. He picks up the phone. Hey, man, what are you doing? What's going on? What's happening? I called home the next night. That same boy picked up my telephone. Hello. Hey, who are you? Put my wife on the phone and get out of my house. And they're all different. My youngest son was 6'2", 230 pounds, 13 years old. This man-child walked around our home for months. His voice never dropped. Really? How do you keep a straight face during that phase of development? He'd yell at his brother. We'd have farm animals showing up at our back porch, just yelling down the hall, "Get out of my room! It's in my room. He's touching my stuff." Dial it down, man. There's 2 goats on the porch looking for you. That's real funny, Dad. It's puberty. Something happens when a child hits puberty. My oldest son went through puberty at 11 years old. Not making it up. It took him a half an hour to get through it. That was it. But it was a terrible half hour. I'm on the road. I call home. He's 11. He picks up the phone. Hey, man, what are you doing? What's going on? What's happening? I called home the next night. That same boy picked up my telephone. Hello. Hey, who are you? Put my wife on the phone and get out of my house. And they're all different. My youngest son was 6'2", 230 pounds, 13 years old. This man-child walked around our home for months. His voice never dropped. Really? How do you keep a straight face during that phase of development? He'd yell at his brother. We'd have farm animals showing up at our back porch, just yelling down the hall, "Get out of my room! It's in my room. He's touching my stuff." Dial it down, man. There's 2 goats on the porch looking for you. That's real funny, Dad. You put that one in your stupid show. So I do. And the talk, every father in this room that had a son knows what the talk is. You sit him in a chair as a boy. When he gets out of that chair, he's a man, because for the first time in his life, he hears the facts. He hears the truth. You look him dead in the eye. Boy, you have got to quit eating all the food in this house. There are 5 of us here. We feel like we're in competition for that food with you. This is an American home. It is not the Serengeti. There'll be more food tomorrow. Just slow down and save some for your little brother. That poor child's so skinny he fell down a sewer grate. He did. It's a good thing he was wearing his bike helmet. He didn't fall all the way through. Those bike helmets save real lives. Are you kidding me? Any man in this room over 40 knows if you would have actually showed up for a bike ride when you were 12 wearing a helmet, you would have needed the helmet to keep your head from caving in while your friends were pelting you with rocks. Dorco, what's with that plastic hat? Cut it out. Cha-ching, cha-ching. You dented my basket. I'm telling my mom. I live in a small town. I love small towns. We got our first traffic light about 4 years ago. There were 9 accidents the first week the light was installed. Yeah, it's funny now, but apparently the people who lived there their whole lives couldn't figure out what the floating red dot in the sky was. Just driving along, that's new. Oh. I love small, I do. We moved there from Arizona. The only reason we live where we live is because there were no homeowners associations. When we lived in Arizona, we had a homeowners association. And this may shock you, we've spent about 35 minutes together, but it turns out the comedy boy here has a little trouble with the property. Me and the local Gladys Kravitzes didn't get along too well. They were always writing me up. Garbage can lids were off, garage door was open. My rocks, I didn't have a lawn, it was Arizona, so I had rocks and they were messy because my kids would run through them. Oh, your rocks are a little messy. Didn't know. Those are the ones that fell out of my head for moving here. The day we sold the house, we were driving out back. I told my wife, I put the car in park, I said, I'll be right back, and I went through the rocks. Tammy says, what are you doing? I said, I'm just setting up a meeting between Gladys and the new owners. Because I'm a people person. So we moved to Tennessee. I told my wife, I don't care where we live, just no homeowners. So that's the only rule I have. You can pick wherever we want to live, no homeowners. So we're driving around our little town, and it was before GPS and anything, so we didn't have directions to this house we were looking for. So we figured we'll ask somebody for directions. So we're driving down the street, and we see a family of 4 on their front lawn in the middle of an activity. I got to tell you, I've been around. I hadn't seen before. All 4 of them were in the process of burning the family couch on the front lawn. I fell out of the car. I said, thank you, Lord Jesus. You have brought me to the promised land. There's no homeowners association around.